again for another episode of the Dirty and Driven Podcast. That's right. My name is James Deviney. I am your host of this fine show. Today, this is the project where we bring people to the blue-collar world, teach them how to kick ass. Our goal here is to gain, train, and retain solid, hardworking people in the trades. We do that by entertain, which is what we are here to do today on this Tuesday edition of our podcast. If you're new here, real quick, we have the Tuesday shows, which is this, usually around an hour, give or take 45 minutes. We have our Friday shows. On the Tuesday shows, we basically bullshit whatever. We go into a topic. We kind of try to dive deep into a topic. And then on our Friday shows, we bring in guests, interview them, all that good stuff. Anyways, now time for me to bring in my co-host. He likes it whenever this strokes his ego. He likes it whenever I bring in the talent, Mr. KCD.
Whenever you bring me, hey, look at that bird, like looking through the, he was flying, looking through the window.
Oh, dude, that's a government drone. Didn't you know birds aren't real?
Yeah.
Dude, dude, that bird's like pecking on the window. That's kind of wild.
Yeah, so when you bring me in, I think I need to start coming in a robe, bringing in the talent.
A robe. And now time to bring in the talent.
You know where bringing the talent comes from, right?
No.
It's whenever they have porn sets, dude. They get the girl already and stuff, then they bring in the talent. Then the guy walks through the door.
So I haven't done a whole lot of stories studying on pornos.
No, I haven't. I saw it on TikTok one time.
They bring in the talent.
How are you?
There's not a lot of talent in porn, I don't think. Maybe there's more to it.
I don't think you need to really have talent as long as you're equipped. So
yeah, I don't think you need to have talent as long as you got the right tool for the job and enough diesel in the tank.
Yeah. There'd be a lot of cutting with me. Cut!
Can I take 20 minutes and a sandwich, please?
No, there'd be a lot of cut. Then they'd have to wait like 6 or 8 hours. All right.
Cut. Viagra. And go. Oh, what have you been up to today, man?
Not a lot. And by the way, I looked up those measurements the other day. Currently, she's 38, 24, 35. She gained an inch on her hips.
You said that last show.
Did I? No, I didn't.
Yeah, at the end of the last show.
Oh, well, I'm 30 minutes away from the end of the show.
Were you not here when we recorded it?
Dude, I can't remember, man.
I can't either.
I can't remember if I wiped my ass this morning.
I'm sure our listeners that go back and like kind of binge listen, ones that come along that are new, that aren't, listening to it as they come out, they probably sit there, because I do this on podcasts too. Like if I find a new podcast or something, I'm not caught up on it or I get behind, I'll listen to like several shows in a row. Well, I mean, if you listen in a week span to 10, 15 episodes, well, that's like several months of recording. But to you, you're listening to it in a week and you're like, damn, how many times is this guy going to tell this story?
Yeah. Well, I hear that even with the old...
and I do that.
I hear that with the GOAT, old Joe Rogan. Because, I haven't listened to all of his shows, but sometimes when he starts to go into a rant or speaking facts on something, it's like, oh, here he goes. Here goes the setup. There, yep, he did it.
Yeah. I kind of cherry pick what I listen to on Rogan, but I do like Rogan.
Well, me too. That's what I'm saying.
It just has so many episodes. It's like, how do you even...
You ever listen to Protect Our Parks episode?
Is it with Ron Swanson?
No, it's like Ari Shaffir, Shane Gillis, and Mark Norman. They're all comics, and they sit around and drink and get high and bullshit and just cut up, and it's a hilarious podcast.
I'll have to listen to that. Protect Our Parks, huh?
Yeah, on Joe Rogan. It's on the Joe Rogan.
Yeah. Well,
they've had 4, 5, or 6 of them, and it's a hoot. If you have a comedian to listen to, you got to listen to Shane Gillis, man.
I'll check him out.
That guy's insane.
Yeah. Hey, before we start, I just want to say shout out to everyone who has bought a shirt the last 2 weeks since, well, really the last week is whenever I started really plugging them. I've sent out several
Black ones?
shirts, both black and orange.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we've sent out a lot, and like I'll post it on Instagram, like more shirts going out, and people will hit me up. Let's go, man. I need another, I need one too. And I've had people hit me up and say, how much are they? And I tell them, and they're not super expensive. I mean, $25, free shipping. And one of these days I'll have them on the website where you can just go do that. But that day's not today. Maybe it will be by the time this comes out, but I've said that 2 weeks in a row, I think. So I don't know. But shout out to everybody who has bought them. They have helped us out a lot, and they've really been amazing. Also, dude, shout out. We were talking about Rexes the other day. Mm-hmm. Shout out to Rex Anderson.
Gang, gang.
Gang, gang.
Oh, Craig Christ.
Craig Christ. He gave us a $20 in the tip jar.
Boom.
Boom. So thanks, Rex. He also asked for a sticker, and then I emailed him back and said, what's your address? And he hasn't responded. So, Casey, if you could tell me your brother's address on the air right now, that would be helpful.
Let me shoot over or let you know his phone number too.
Yeah. Just give it all out. And also what he does for work, because I think that's all important information.
Yeah, and also I want to give a special shout out to Dustin Park Connor.
Yeah, dude.
I think he is
number one fan right there.
Yeah, man. He reaches out to me, and this is his. He chalks it up to making a special day. And pardon for the sniff, but whenever our podcasts come out, he listens to it and has a cold one, and he gives me a. We'll record it, release it on, let's say, just on a Tuesday, and normally either Tuesdays or Fridays he'll be cooking out, having a cold one, and he'll let me know he's listening, and he'll give me a play-by-play.
Nice.
Of what's going on.
Love it.
Yeah, so
I love that dude, and he's been the inspiration for a lot of shows. Really just awesome dude. So shout out to him. Great fan. Yeah. We love hearing feedback from people, and he gives a lot of great feedback, and he's not even technically in the trades, but man, what he's doing is he's a teacher, and he's hitting us up sometimes and saying, hey man, how do I get our kids involved in the trades? How do I push the trades as a teacher? Sometimes there's a lot of teachers I want to shit talk because they're the ones that are like, you don't want to be like the guy out there doing this, out working in the heat, and you want to stay in school. But this guy's saying, no, dude, there's a lot of kids that belong in the trades, and how do we get them in there? And those are the kinds of teachers we need, man.
He's living and breathing, man. Whenever he was listening to it the other day, our last podcast, and he was giving me the play-by-play, we shot back and forth for 2 or 3 hours. And he understands the need to that secondary or not secondary, the higher education separate from high school is not the avenue for a ton of people, especially a lot of the kids that he deals with. And he's living and breathing it with what he's told me that he's working on. Mm-hmm. He's helping hopefully job placement with the kids.
Yeah.
That he's teaching, man. So.
That's incredible too. And while we're on that topic of teaching and teachers, schools, getting kids from the schools involved in the trades, I do want to put a plug out there for the Crew Collaborative, which is an organization I've talked about with. We've had a lot of guests on that are involved with them. Nonprofit organization geared towards just bringing people to the trades, kind of like we do. They do an awesome program called Classroom Talks. And that is where they get like 5 to 10 people lined up, usually like 5 or 8 people, and we get on a Zoom call, and it's like, this guy's a mechanic, this guy's a project manager, this guy's a laborer, this guy's an equipment operator, this guy frames houses, this person is a plumber. They get several different people. This person's an engineer. They try to get a diverse group, or sometimes it's a focus group of, hey, this is our auto tech class. Can we get a bunch of mechanics talking? This is a MEP class. Can we get electricians, plumbers, HVAC guys talking? And they try to do that based on the school's needs. But a lot of times it's to an English class or a history class or just a random class of kids that have never considered the blue collar trades. And they'll get a few people together. So what I'm getting at with this is it's a Zoom call. So we Zoom into everybody's remote in their own states, cities, on the job sites, wherever, and then they Zoom in, and then the kids watch it on their smart board in their classrooms, and then they get live feedback, and then they can sit there and they can ask questions of, oh, hey, what is this? What is that? And then it's 5-minute presentation that you give that basically just says like, hey, I'm James. I'm a project manager. This is around how much money you can make doing this kind of position. You just speak on your perspective and what you do, and everybody does that, and then it gives these kids options, and they've really been doing well with that and had some good feedback and success with it, I think, and really gotten more people interested. It plants a seed. And so where I'm getting to is if you're a teacher or a principal or work at a school or know somebody who does or volunteer and you want that in your classrooms, hit me up and I will get you in contact with the person that to talk to about that with the Crew Collab, or you can follow them on social media, Crew Collaborative, and ask about that. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's all. That sounds a little bit where Dirty and Driven's heading too.
Yeah, I mean, similar stuff, but
I'm pointing at you on those Zoom calls. After the electrician gives his sales pitch, does the plumber come in and say, "Dude, don't even listen to what the hell the electrician said, man. This is where it's at."
I've only done one so far, but I don't think they do that, but they could.
That guy doesn't know what the hell he's talking about.
Yeah. Them electricians are a bunch of pussies. Now let me tell you where it's really at.
Yeah.
Everybody loves to make fun of electricians. No. So that's a cool deal, man. So just want to give them a little plug. Also, just wanted to shout out the review of the week. So a lot of you guys have really been starting to give us 5-star reviews, which I appreciate. And those of you who take the time to review, thank you. I'm going to shout out my boy Jerry Dunn, who is also a big fan of the show, hits me up a lot, tags us on Instagram a lot. Very thankful for him. He said, if anybody's scrolling through podcasts to listen for something to relate, and they happen to be mechanic, contractor, construction worker, plumber, electrician, stop by, give them a listen. It's entertaining. They talk about real world stuff. Core value, baby. Keep it real.
Boom.
So, thanks, Jerry. Appreciate the 5-star review. That was a lot of stuff. The hard part is you and I talked for like an hour and a half before we actually started recording. All of our bullshit got out there.
Like I said, I had to walk in and do my obligatory pick up the guitar and strum on it for a while. And
then we went into the deep history of Soundgarden and Audio Slave.
Yeah, in Pearl Jam and Soundgarden doing the old supergroup Temple of the Dog. I'm going to let anybody out there know if you want to hear probably the best music front to back, pick up Temple of the Dog's album. It probably came out in the early 90s.
Not to be confused with Hair of the Dog.
Have you ever heard Hair of the Dog when it was redone by Guns N' Roses?
Yeah, it wasn't as good, but I liked it.
Now y'all messing with her.
I didn't like the fast tempo they did. Also, dude, I got a message back from our boy Colton McCormick, Certified Wrench Podcast.
Boom.
I'm actually wearing his shirt today. Casey was giving me shit about not repping the Dirty and Driven shirt today like he is.
Yep.
I was repping the Dirty and Driven shirt yesterday at the gym, and then I went and ran wearing it. But I'm wearing the Certified Wrench Podcast on today's episode. Check it out on YouTube. Just kidding. We don't have cameras.
I rep the Dirty and Driven shirt when I'm in bed.
Yeah, I do too. So,
the talent.
Yeah. But, my chair just broke a little bit, I think.
No, not that chair.
You hear that? That's that backrest wobbling.
I'm repping the brand, man. We talked about that the last episode.
Anyways, Colton hit me up and he goes, by the way, I hate Guns N' Roses. So I told him that affected our friendship.
Does he hate Guns N' Roses today? Or from Guns N' Roses back in the day?
I think he just hates their music.
All right.
I don't think it has anything to do with the band itself, just the music.
I've been catching up on a lot of the old Certified Wrench podcast lately.
That's a good show, man.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. So there's your plug.
There you go.
There you go. Yeah, but dude, we're hoping to start doing some more stuff together too.
Do wrenches have to be certified? I know slings and cranes and stuff, have to be inspected and certified, but
yeah, dude, they all so they either have a stamp on them that tells you how certified they are. There's a certification scale, and there's one that says China or USA, and so they're certified.
But
certified China or certified American.
If anybody has tools laying around, especially crescent wrenches, open face, any type of wrenches whatsoever, be sure to get them to Colton because he can certify them for you.
He can certify them for you.
Yeah.
Colton certified wrench business.
old Debo just shot me a text saying he's starting the episode.
Oh, yeah?
Dustin Park Connor.
He's going to give you a play. You should give him a play-by-play of the one we're recording
so he's starting
right now.
He's probably starting Friday's episode, the one we turned the tables.
The old 2 turntables and a microphone. Man, if you didn't listen to Friday, so some people only listen to Tuesday and some people only listen to Friday. So if you didn't listen to Friday's episode and you're a Tuesday listener, definitely recommend checking that one out. It just talks more deep dive about Dirty and Driven and kind of my background, and it's just me and Casey. But anyways, it was a fun episode. I really enjoyed it and gotten good feedback on it. So thanks, guys.
Yeah, you might have to take off an afternoon to be able to listen to it. It's 2 hours long.
It's a Joe Rogan length podcast.
Yeah. I got up to pee, I think, 3 or 4 times. Something like that.
I think it was just one. You ran.
Yeah.
So today's topic today, man.
We're already into it?
We're already into it, man.
Okay.
I think we got all of our small talk out.
All right.
I mean, we can bullshit about music and stuff like that all day long, but no, dude. So I've been reading this book called Legacy, and it's about the All Blacks. Do you know who the All Blacks are? Do you know what the All Blacks is? Tell me what your first assumption is.
It's my first assumption is I don't want to speak on it whatsoever. I don't want to get myself in trouble.
Please speak on it.
No.
Please tell me what you're thinking the All Blacks is.
No.
I wear an All Black shirt pretty often. It's got a feather on it and it says All Blacks.
Oh, I do know that wearing black colors or vertical colors are thinning. They make you look skinny.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just take a guess. What do you think the All Blacks is?
Football team?
Not far off. Rugby team.
Hey, see?
Well, yeah. One of the biggest sports organizations literally in the world.
I'd be more inclined to think football or basketball team.
Yeah. Yeah. So
not hockey.
I mean rugby football.
Not hockey.
Not hockey. No. I always wear my All Black shirt because I was a rugby player. I think most people know that. But yeah, I was a rugby player. I wear my All Black shirt a lot, and people always look at me and they, especially like in small town, like small conservative Oklahoma towns, I'll be walking around. Somebody goes, and like especially during like 2020, whenever all the crazy like riots were going on and stuff like that, people would go, "Son, what's your shirt mean?" They just give me this look like very disapproving. I'm like, "It's a rugby team." They're like, "Oh, okay." Everybody thinks it's a Black Lives Matter shirt. Anyways, I'm reading this book called Legacy. One of the best books I've ever read. It's a lot about basically culture building and success through the way the All Blacks did it. It uses a lot of sports analogies, stuff like that, but it's basically business. It's a business book and a sports book combined of just building culture, creating success, breeding a team. Incredible. I recommend anybody who is in a leadership position read this book because it is just so value packed. I've probably taken more notes than there's words in the book. It's so incredible. But they did a chapter on pressure that I read yesterday, and it really just inspired me to talk about it today because pressure is one of those things that everybody in the trades deals with in some way or the other, whether you're the lowest guy out there, a laborer, apprentice, just a guy out in the field working first day on the job, you feel pressure there all the way up to the owner and everybody in between. There's a lot of pressure in this industry. It's a very high stakes, high risk, pressure industry. You're always aiming to please. And I've had so many people reach out and I say, what are your biggest challenges in the industry to you? And one of the biggest, most overwhelming results was pressure. Pressure comes all around. And I know that personally, I feel pressure a lot with what I do and what I've done in the past. And I'm sure you do at times. Got to make things just right. So I think that talking about this today is a hell of a topic.
Pressure.
Under pressure. It's pressing down on me. Do we want to say
you ever heard the past tense Taylor Hawkins
Yeah.
sing Pressure?
I saw him do it live.
Yeah, dude.
Dude.
But I never really tuned into a lot of Foo Fighter stuff till after he passed. And so, of course, when he passed, that was one of the main deals on YouTube was him performing it in concert.
Yeah.
It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I saw him do that. It was one of the worst things I've ever seen in the best way possible. Dave Grohl would get on drums at a Foo Fighters concert.
He doesn't know how to play drums.
No. And he would get on the drums, and then Taylor Hawkins would go up there and sing, and he'd sing. Like, he could hit those notes, but it was not in tune at all.
Yeah.
It was just so... It was entertaining as hell, though.
Man, he had a good frontman personality, didn't he?
Dude, Taylor Hawkins?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, he was cool, man. I enjoy
Hey,
it.
on a little side note, real quick, this is something I have a problem with. Whenever Taylor Hawkins passed, it was in South America somewhere, wasn't it? I could be generalizing, but they were on tour.
Oh, were they? I don't know. I don't know where he passed.
Yeah,
at.
they might have been in Brazil.
That sounds right, but I don't know.
They might have been in Brazil. When he passed, they had done the autopsy report, the coroner's report, whatever that is, and within a day or two, they had the cause. It was already done within a day or two of, even the substances that might have been in his body, all that stuff it might have been a 48-hour turnaround. And here in the United States, whether you're getting your blood tested, you got to send on, it takes weeks or months to come back with a report. And how can they have a pretty much shut and closed case?
I don't know. That's ridiculous, isn't it?
I don't know, man. Just the red tape.
The red tape.
It shouldn't take that long, man.
Yeah, I hate red tape. So,
all right, get back
anyways,
on topic.
Back to Under Pressure. Do you want to try and sing that duet real quick?
Pressure. I only know Pressure.
Shipping around. These are the days that never end. And everybody just quit.
Scooter bop. Skibbity bebop. Christopher Reeves. Sonny Bono. Hidden Trees.
And everybody just tuned out whenever I tried to hit that note. Anyways.
Oh, by the way, James's long 10-second pause earlier was for effect. He wanted to draw y'all in, maybe even have y'all reach up to, hey, is this thing
The
still
beautiful
on?
thing about a 10-second pause is it's not going to be in there.
They also,
So now you're talking about my long 10-second pause that never happened to the listener.
they say I go back to professional wrestling, but when the guys are out there doing their trash talk in the middle of the ring, the best thing to do is do an uncomfortable pause when you're speaking. Because it draws people in. Because
That's true.
You're used to a tempo, a cadence. But when you pause for that little, people will tune. That's when the ears are like ding ding.
Well, you start to go, what the? Where did? You start to turn your phone back up or your radio. You're like, where did it? What? You start checking it, and then it's boom, right back.
Yeah, you click over to AM and listen to Paul Harvey. Good day.
Yeah. So pressure. I feel like whenever you're under pressure, there's two types of people that come about. And in this book that I was reading, they use the terms redhead or bluehead, which you can probably pretty well tell which one is which. What do you think a redhead person is under pressure?
Redhead is he loves freedom, loves our country. Probably is going to vote for Donald Trump in the 2024 election.
The redhead is actually a hated stepchild.
I think they got those reversed then. That should be the bluehead.
The redheaded stepchild?
All right.
Okay. We both just flopped our jokes.
Okay. So the redhead is the redheaded stepchild. So what's the bluehead?
No, I was kidding.
Oh.
That was also a terrible joke.
Okay. So what is it?
Well, the redhead is like the guy, it's like a hothead. There's two types of guys. There's your redhead, your bluehead. So the redhead is the guy that's yelling, screaming, oh my gosh, you can't, And then the bluehead is the guy that's like calm, cool, collective under pressure. He's like, all right, man, here's what we're going to do. Let's go for it. So if you hear us say redhead or bluehead, that's what we're talking about. Either the angry guy who lashes out or the guy who stays calm under pressure and
I got it.
Keeps things going.
We got it.
Right. So I would say a lot of bad decisions that are made out of emotion from pressure. And I think that they're not made because of lack of skill or bad judgment. They're made because of the inability to handle pressure at a pivotal moment. So like let's say you're playing a sport. All right, every armchair quarterback wants to look at the coaches and the quarterback and the players and say, well, I can't believe that they did this instead of kicking the field goal, and this is so stupid of them. Well, it was a bad decision under pressure, right? Or you look at a guy who accidentally runs something over on a job site because he's being rushed by his boss, he's being yelled at, he's wanting to do a good job, he's being hurried, and he's like, oh man, he steps on it and he runs over the most important tool he needs, or he throws something off the tailgate and it hits a windshield or something like that. It's not because he's an idiot or has bad judgment. It's just in that moment, he made a decision out of emotion instead of staying calm, and then it was a pivotal moment and went bad. So there's a lot of situations like that where a bad decision's made because you can't handle that pressure when it needs to happen. So that's where we're talking today. So first point I want to make is where we focus our mind is where our thoughts will take us. Do you understand what that means?
No, I understand what you're saying. What you just spoke on a second ago, there's been situations that I've dealt with and I've seen to where a mistake will happen. Unfortunately, that's life. A mistake will happen, and the powers that be will come in and say, well, how in the heck could you make this mistake? And a lot of times they'll break it down to black and white.
Yes.
This happened, and then this happened. Why did this happen? Well, they might attribute it to rushing, fatigue, mind not on task, all this. There's certain situations, and I know that we've all dealt with, to where whatever the mistake that happened, it might seem black and white why it happened, but you might have had a lot of baggage mentally or even physically that you brought to the table to where you just got that bad phone call that you the unfortunate one that your father's getting ready to die. And then that backhoe that you were in, you accidentally hit a power line that you weren't looking out for.
Yeah.
Well, why in the hell did you not see the flagger? Was it marked? Where were the goalposts? But little did they know that you being the operator, you had all this other baggage. And I just see it as one example of the unseen pressure that you have, that you bring to the work.
Well, it comes from all over. And I think that you have pressure in your home life, you have pressure at work, and it's just a high stress industry. So what causes pressure? I think that you brought up a good thing that we probably need to define. And these aren't, the only things that cause it. But I mean, for one, like I said, being rushed, urgency, an impending deadline. I mean, if you're working on a highway job or a big building job and you get slapped with liquidated damages, if you get behind for $2,000 to $3,000 a day, and you're looking at it and you're like, shit, man, I'm not even close to done yet. And we've got that causes pressure. If you got an owner or somebody like that really pushing you to I want this done, I want this done, I want this done, or a boss yelling at you that we need to hurry up, that pressure's there. High stimulus and distractions. That's a big one that causes pressure, especially in this line of work, because if you're on a quiet job site and there's no one there and it's just you and a machine, that's a lot better. There's not too much pressure there. It's just you by yourself. No one's there to watch you screw up. But dude, if you're working on a highway or you're working in an area like some of these people are building distribution centers, stuff like that, and there's 50 other contractors on site trying to work at the same time, it's kind of terrifying because let's just take a highway, for example. You've got a guy over here who's digging up a box structure and pouring concrete. You're trying to do dirt work. You're trying to level things out. You've got traffic running right next to you within feet of you, honking their horns, flipping you off, going by. You've got backup alarms beeping. You've got laborers out here walking around that may not always be paying attention to the equipment. You've got your phone ringing. You've got trucks coming in and dumping material. You've got so much going on around you that it can be very overwhelming.
Yeah.
And a lot of people get overwhelmed by that, and that can cause pressure. When something's at stake, that causes pressure. Obviously, there's a lot of things that can be at stake. Somebody's safety,
Lives, your job.
Lives, your job.
You keep this last screw up. You screw up again, dude. That's it. So then you're like,
Yeah. Or like you're saying, family life, hey, you need to start figuring out how to transition to a different job because you're on the road too much. And I don't like it anymore. I want you home. We don't have any sort of a relationship because all you do is work.
Yeah.
There's a lot at stake. Your family's at stake, right?
Yeah.
But you don't want to let your employer down because you like this job and you don't want to ruin it. You make good money here. You don't know what's next. So there's stuff at stake. Or maybe you've got a bonus coming up on a project and you want to hit that bonus deadline and there's a lot at stake and then you have a little fuck up and you're like, oh shit, man, I've got to do this so I can get that bonus. Or I'm going to lose money. I mean, money's always at stake in this industry.
Yeah, I should have bid this job by the hour instead of by the job.
Mm-hmm. Here's one that I get a lot too, is where trauma or previous experience is triggered. And I think that that's a hard one too, as a leader or as somebody around that person or even as yourself. Like, you just get flashbacks or PTSD to something that happened in the past, or you get in a piece of equipment like, you see it a lot with people who get in a wreck or they accidentally break something, they get in a lot of trouble and it becomes a big deal, or they get into an accident. Then it's like, oh shit, man, I don't want to, like, you get so nervous around it. I knew a kid that he worked at Home Depot and he's a friend of mine. Well, his best friend rolled a forklift at Home Depot because I don't know what happened. I think that he was getting something heavy off of a top shelf kind of thing, and he backed up, and he doesn't really remember it too well, but kind of the story is something startled him, and he accidentally jerked the sticks really hard, and it caused that top heavy thing to just fall over. Well, it messed him up. I mean, big time. Stuff fell on him. Like, he got injured bad. Well, he was out for several months to heal, and then he went back to work there. And whenever he went back to work, he just was too scared to get back on a forklift. Like, it was, he's really been working on getting more comfortable on it again, which understandable. So, and sometimes it's an emotional trigger. Maybe you yell at somebody the wrong way, or you talk to somebody the wrong way on a job site, and it brings back memories of a job that they used to have that they hate, or something else that happened in their life. There's a lot of past things that can trigger that. And then also, this is a big one too in this industry. When there's conflict, aggression, or dispute, that can be a lot of pressure and a lot of stress too, because it's like, well, hey man, you owe us this much money and we put this much rock in. Oh, hell no, you didn't put that much rock in. We don't owe you that much money and you can't. Or the pavement failed because the guy who did the subgrade did a shitty job and you laid over it, and now they're trying to say your pavement failed, not the subgrade. Things like that. That's where a lot of stress and pressure comes in. So those are some, obviously there's other things that cause stress and pressure, but these are kind of the main ones. Very stressful industry, a lot of pressure. So in those situations, you can be a redhead or a bluehead. And I think that you have to practice being the bluehead. It doesn't just come naturally. I mean, if you take a guy that's been in the industry for 30 years, he's seen it, he's done it. He may still be a little bit of a redhead, but he can handle a lot of that stuff. Whereas you take a guy that's brand new, green, fresh, and you put him in that position, he's going to get eaten alive real quick because he hasn't eased into the pressure kind of thing. So we'll get to that though. But anyways, you want to be able to handle all of these things in a pivotal moment. So where we focus our mind is where our thoughts will take us. Let's talk about what that means. It's kind of like I'll use like a NASCAR analogy. A lot of NASCAR drivers, whenever they're driving and they're on the outside, where do you think they're looking, Casey?
Well, they don't have the 1,000-yard stare, right?
Right.
But you say they're on the outside?
Yeah, let's say they're in the outside lane. Where do you think there's cars between them? Where do you think they're looking?
Probably not. I don't know. You just tell me. You tell me what the answer is, because I'm sure I'll butcher it. They're looking in the stands to see if someone's holding up a sign saying,
they're seeing if any girls are flashing them.
Yeah. Yeah. Watch out for that wall on turn number 4, Dale.
That's it. Hey, no, you're on the right track right there. The wall. So they're not
I was
looking at
talking
the
about
wall.
Daytona 500 reference when, unfortunately, Dale Sr. lost his life.
Oh.
They were trying
shit.
they were trying to let him know to watch out for the.
Oh.
Sorry.
I don't know much about NASCAR, but race car drivers in general. But I'm using NASCAR. But if they're on the outside edge and there's a car next to them, they're looking straight ahead. They're looking at the guy in front of them. They're not looking at the wall or the guy next to him, because what you focus on expands. So if they focus on the wall, they're going to hit the wall. If they focus on the guy next to him too hard, they're going to hit the guy next to him. If they focus on, oh shit, I might hit that, and then they're looking at it, they're probably going to hit it. So they focus on, basically, they like deadlock right in front of them.
That almost reminds me of playing golf. Man, don't hit it left, dude. Don't hit it left. Don't hit it. I hit it left.
Yes, what you focus on expands.
Yes.
Yeah. I didn't know where you're going with that. I was like, I haven't hit a hole in the walls while golfing.
Yeah, I knew you were like, oh, crap, here he goes again. But no.
I hit a window one time. Didn't break, thankfully.
On hole number 2 at Wentz, have you ever pulled it left if you're a right-handed golfer and hit oncoming cars that are coming?
I haven't hit a car, but I've hit it in the street.
Yeah.
Actually, hey, funny story about that, side note. I was building a retaining wall, that big retaining wall there on hole number 2. Well, I was building that one summer. And, dude, you'd be surprised. Like, that's a far left shot for somebody to hit. But there were so many times that like I'd hear like a golf ball and then just see it rolling towards me. I'm like, oh, shit. We about got hit by several golf balls.
Incoming.
The guy had to put in special... not bulletproof windows, but basically the kind of windows that could get hit by a golf ball and not break. Anyways, so what you focus on expands, because where our mind is where our thoughts will take us. Thoughts create emotion. Emotion defines our behavior. Behavior defines performance. So basically, what you think about eventually comes back to how you perform. So if we can control our attention, our thoughts, then we can control our emotions and our performance. Which I think is true. You get in an argument with somebody and emotions come into play. Odds are good that one way or the other, you're going to act on your emotions. You're going to act on like, somebody might come and give you a nice heartwarming story of this, that, hey, I need this, I want that. And then you're like, oh man, okay. And then like you give them something. Or it might be a deal where somebody comes up and starts ripping your ass and then you start blowing back up because now your emotions are triggered because you can't handle those emotions. You get stressed, you get overwhelmed, and then it's all of a sudden, then you just want to start freaking out on everybody. So where you can control your emotions, you can control your performance. If you can't control your emotions, then you're going to lash out and you're going to do things that you don't want to do or say. And that's whenever the screw ups happen. And that's whenever safety's at stake. That's whenever you burn bridges. That's whenever you just mess up in a way that is bad. So that's where the pressure comes from, truly, is our thoughts and our emotions. A lot of times pressure, too, is all in our head.
Yeah, everything. Yeah. Everything is.
Yeah.
Pressure and even stress. It's all self-induced.
Yeah.
The stress that you deal with, I'd heard that one time. I don't know if it was a Jocko, shout out gang. Jocko, I'll text you back later. But dude, stress and pressure, I think hand in hand, dude, it's self-induced. If you're getting stressed out about crap, a lot of times, there's times that it's been uncontrollable, but you can control the controllables, and what you decide to get stressed out on is up to you.
Yes. Yeah.
And if you are an operator in a forklift on the road, and you have that old stress zinger hit you while if you can compartmentalize that, hopefully just kind of store in the back, still focus on your job, wait to address it later. That's the way to go.
Yeah.
The worst decisions that you can have is deciding on emotion. If you can take emotion out of whatever you're dealing with and look at it just for the simple black and white, that's the best way to make decisions.
Yes. Well, yes and no. I mean, because it goes back to like you're saying too. It depends on who you're in. If you take emotion out of a equation, if you are the one making the decision, then yes. But like you're saying, let's say the guy above you comes down and he says, well, I don't see how you screwed this up. And then they take all the emotion out of the equation. They look at it as black and white. Now you're saying, well, I'm being caught unfairly because the situation was different than how you're seeing it black and white on paper. But if you are in the position where you have to make the call or you have to make the decision, then yeah, take the emotion out. Because if you make decisions off of emotion, a lot of times they're not going to be the best decisions. Because there's been times where I've gotten really hot, heavy. Someone said something in passing, or especially if you get a text or an email that you can't see the tone and you kind of take it out of proportion in your own head and it stresses you out. And then you know that you've got a meeting with that person later and you go in, you're pissed off and angry, and then you start talking. And thankfully, I don't just go in there and start yelling and screaming, but I've seen people do it because they're mad about a certain tone in an email. And then that guy who sent the email goes, no, hold on. That's not at all what I meant. But now he's pissed off and he's defensive because you're coming at him, and it just blows up out of proportion. Or you're on a job site, like I said, and you have a guy who's like, hey, I need you to go get this truck. It's got some tools on it we need. It's down the road. Hurry the hell up. And you get there. Well, now you're driving back through the job site in traffic. There's people in your way. You're trying to hurry. And I did this before, dude. I was on a really busy, hectic job site in the middle of town. A lot of traffic coming by, live traffic. We were doing a mill and overlay job, and we were milling. And it was, hey, I need you to go get this truck right now. It's got stuff on it we need. It's down the road. Have somebody take you over there and then go. Well, somebody was blocking me. It was a brand new truck, dude. Brand spanking new. Like, we got it the week before. The guy who was assigned that truck had it all decked out, the right toolboxes he wants, all this night. And it had those toolboxes that are under the bed, like the ones that basically are kind of like your wheel well.
Right.
There's a toolbox there. Well, I was blocked in by a guy that was it was the milling machine operator, and he was filling up his water truck. And I was sitting there like waiting for him to move, and I couldn't get out. Well, there was this little field right next to it that I tried to pull through, and there were these really short, like 2 foot tall concrete pillars that I knew they were there. Well, I take off because I make this decision out of emotion instead of waiting the 5 minutes for him to get out the way, or going up and asking, hey, can you get out of the way real quick? I need out. I tried to pull through. Dude, I raped one of those brand new toolboxes on this brand new truck for this guy that took so much pride in it. And it was a bad deal, which that's a small little deal. But then you go and like, there's people that I had to go tell, and the guy was a hothead that I told, but
he was a redhead.
He was a redhead, man. And so I go and like, I just tell him, like, I made that decision out of pure emotion. This was my first like mistake on a road crew kind of thing. And I go and I tell him like, man, I'm sorry, you know, I did this, I did that. But like, I went to him with that, and then he just goes, you know what, man? Like, I thought I was ready for him to blow up on me. I was so scared. I was so nervous. I'd been stressed all day because it wasn't a few hours until I saw him again. And he goes, dude, you're good. Like, I get it. I was like, oh. So I stressed about that for 3-4 hours for nothing.
Yeah. That's good. And I appreciate people like that I still deal with it these days, to where you screw up and you come out and you fess up. Hey, man, no problem. It sucks, but I appreciate you doing it. Instead of the people that, you know, they'll harp on you and you're like, dude, I said, I'm sorry, man. I don't know what to, yeah, but you don't get it. You dude, I know, but why can't people be more understanding? Like, you might get the initial ass ripping, but then, hey, man, I appreciate you being forthcoming, James. Awesome. And leave it at that.
I think that most people are like that. But see, so that's where after you make those stress-induced situations and you go the wrong way, I think that that's where you have to be honest and open and just own your mistakes. That's one of our core values we talked about on the last show. Own your shit. If you mess up, dude, go and tell whoever it affects. And don't wait on it. Don't let them try to figure it out on their own. Just go rip the Band-Aid off and have that conversation, because it's way better every time. In your head, you're sitting there thinking it's going to happen, but every time I've gone to somebody openly, honestly, and just said, hey, I screwed up, it's always, all right, man, I get it. Let's fix it.
Yeah.
And it might be, oh shit, okay, we need to act on this now.
Yeah.
But it's never like, you son of a bitch, piece of shit, I can't believe it. Like, it's always very reasonable whenever you just go and you own it.
Yeah, the sooner you get that one brick that's been weighing you down with a backpack full of bricks, the sooner you get that brick out of your backpack and get it off of you, the lighter the load's going to be on you.
Yeah. So that's a good thing to do in when you're faced with that situation, is just go and clear the air really quickly if you make that bad decision in a stressful moment. And I think where stress comes from is just that risk, man. I think that pressure comes from like, okay, I'm going to go out on my own. I've got a lot of pressure to provide for my family. I've got a lot of pressure to make ends meet. And I think that pressure can be a good thing.
It is. And to go off on that, to go with that, I'm not off, but to chime in on that, out where I'm at, it's good in certain situations to have just a little bit of pressure. It's good to know that pressure's there.
Yeah.
And they had a buzzword probably 5 years ago they were really pushing, and it was called chronic unease.
Oh.
And they said, what's the definition of chronic unease? And it's having a heightened state of awareness when you're working. Mm-hmm. So that chronic unease can be that nice little pressure, just that little pressure. You got to be aware that there's a huge ditch over to your left. There's power lines to the right. You don't want to swing the boom over there. So, it's little stresses, but you're operating at a just a little higher level than just a lackadaisical, here we go, another day on the job.
Yes, I agree. Yeah, it's good to have that pressure. Well, it is good to have a little bit of pressure, because like, if you go out there, and I've seen guys that they just don't give a flying rat's ass. They go out there and it's like, I saw an operator, very talented, but he just came in every day of like, if I get fired, I don't care.
Yeah.
Like, that was his mentality. He just kind of had a county mentality is what I say. He just kind of had that mentality of like, I'm here, I'm getting a paycheck. All I want to do is anything else. Like,
those are the ones you got to watch out for, especially with heavy equipment.
Yeah, and I've seen this guy. I talked to his supervisor, and he goes, "Dude, he's a very talented, skilled operator, but he just doesn't care. He'll hit utility lines. He won't ever have a laborer get down in the hole and just kind of, feel things out, try to hand dig. He won't ever do that. He just hits them. He doesn't give a shit."
Yeah, but it sounds like he needs to see a couple videos of people being electrocuted and killed from hitting a high pressure gas line, and really take it home that, if you don't do it for yourself, do it for your family. I mean, he needs that a little come to Jesus moment with those.
I agree.
Because that's what hits home with me is.
And better leadership for him would be phenomenal.
But whenever something, especially in the field that you're in, the industry that you're in, I'm in the oil and gas industry. Whenever I hear or see accidents to where, unfortunately, high pressure gas escapes, it hits an ignition source and it blows up guys that were just doing a routine maintenance job on something, man, that hits home. And it hits home to, that could have been me. And then what would my family have done? So I take that with me to anytime I'm involved around things like that, or somebody else is, and I'm there to hopefully put eyes on it. I'll be sure to reiterate, let's make sure we dot all the I's and cross all the T's, because, the zero room for error.
Yeah. So, I mean, we can talk all day about examples of stress and pressure and what it does to us and all that, but let's get a little more practical here, man. Let's turn it positive. Let's talk about how to handle that. Because I think that truly a lot of people have never been taught how to handle that. They've been thrown into positions, especially in the construction industry, man. Training is slim to none in a lot of places. It's very much figure it out as you go, which you can figure out the technical side of things, the equipment operating side of things, what to do, how to be a good laborer, how to even run a business. You can figure that out as you go kind of stuff. But the softer skills of how do I handle pressure? How do I handle people? How do I handle nitpicky customers? How do I handle shitty employees? How do I handle being a good leader and taking the pressure off my people? How do I do this stuff? Let's talk about that. I think that you have to train for it just like you would train physically. So if you want to be stronger physically or faster, you have to go train, work out, eat right. Mental toughness is also a developed skill. Some people think that you either have mental toughness or you don't, but that's not it. It's developed. It's a skill. It is a perishable skill, just like exercise, muscle. Your mental toughness is a muscle, just like anything else. I read in that book, Legacy, a person who is taught at home will stand with confidence in the community. To me, that means a person who is taught at home. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean at home, but this is one, I think that's a call to parents, siblings, anybody who can be an influence on a kid's life. I think if you teach people early, they can stand with confidence in the community. You taking a pee break?
Nope. I'm standing up. My old ass is hurting again.
Oh, yeah.
We need some
We need
cushions.
better chairs.
Just the tip.
Just the tip on the link tree and the deal. But a person who's taught at home will stand with confidence in the community. But I don't necessarily think that means just at home. I think that that's somebody who takes the initiative to train. I think that's a person who takes the initiative to read books that deal with mental toughness, that teach them about these struggles. That's a person who studies the psychology of the people they're working with. That's a person who takes time to learn and grow and develop at home. And that's also, if you're a leader and you are a foreman, you're a superintendent, you're a project manager, you're an owner, you are investing in your people and saying, hey, here's the things I want you to learn. Because for some of these people, work is their home. Work is where they stand out, and their pressure comes from their actual home lives. So it's people, what that quote means is people who take the initiative on their own to learn and grow or have leaders that teach them to learn and grow. That is where the standout will come from. So how do we train mental toughness? You don't go to the gym and just get on a machine and all of a sudden you're mentally tough. It comes from a lot of things. For one, I know that I've plugged the 75 Hard program on here a lot. I think that's a great way to grow mental toughness. Something like that, where you hold yourself to a standard and you say, these are the objectives I'm going to do. And what is the 75 Hard program? It's 2 workouts a day for 45 minutes. One is indoor, or one of them has to be outside, I should say. You drink a gallon of water, you read a book for 10 pages a day, you take a progress picture, and you follow a diet and you don't drink for 75 days. It's hard. You hold yourself to that standard.
Damn.
Yeah. And I'm not saying everybody has to do that. I'm just saying that's a very good way to gain mental toughness fast. And if you skip one of those things, you fail. And you have to start over. So that's a great way to train. But I think that more just practical day-to-day, you don't want to do that. You're not ready for that. Or you say, well, yeah, that's well and good, but how do I teach my guys that? I'm not going to go and take a guy that, goes to the bar every day after work and tell him, oh, yeah, you should do 75 hard and require him to do it. No. But you can still teach that guy mental toughness. So we got to start with fundamentals, okay? First of all, put your people into some hard situations, but don't just throw them to the wolves. Like I see so often where somebody who's good at their job, who's a good operator, they're a good laborer, they're a good, any just regular job employee, they're a good employee, and you say, because you're a good employee and you are good at your actual job, now we're going to make you management. And a lot of people crumble as soon as they go to that. I've talked to several people in this industry that say, yeah, man, I was a manager for a little while, but after a couple months of it, I just stepped down and hated it. There was just so much stress and pressure. It wasn't worth the time and money. I hated it. And they step down. They go back to being an operator. And that's because they were never taught the soft part of it. They were never eased into it. It was just, hey, you're good at your job. Now we're going to throw you to the wolves, and now you're going to run people. You may know how to run a machine, but you don't necessarily know how to run people and deal with customers and deal with ordering materials and know how to do all that stuff. It's a totally different skill set. So I think that one, it's good to take that person that you want to be a foreman, that is an operator, or you want them to be a superintendent or project manager, and you take them and you say, okay, here's some small situations we're going to have you do. So we're going to have you start leading some jobs. Instead of just throwing you to the wolves on these big jobs, we're going to have you lead these tasks, small tasks. Okay, there's a guy that I work with. He's learning how to be an asphalt plant operator. He didn't just go out and just get thrown into the asphalt plant and all of a sudden, boom, start learning how to be the operator. No. He went and led some small jobs on his own, installing parking curbs. Something pretty low stress, easy, but dude, and it stressed him out leading that job. But he did it, and he did a good job. He was stressed about not doing a good job. He did a good job. He led a crew of 3 people, installed a whole bunch of parking curbs, knocked it out of the park. Great. He ran a loader for a while. He was a grounds guy. He got to learn all the different stresses and pressures of around the asphalt plant. He made mistakes. Instead of firing him or writing him up, it was like, okay, man, let's learn from those mistakes. You let him grow in the pressure. And I think that when mistakes happen too, you as a leader have to, instead of ripping their ass, because if you beat them every time they make a mistake, it's like a dog, man. If you just keep beating a dog, eventually that dog's not even going to get up. It's just going to be scared. You have to take them and you have to teach them and hope they learn from it and make sure they learn from it. So put them in hard situations and ease them into it. Give them harder, back off a little bit. Increase the intensity, harder. It's kind of like training physically. When I'm training for my marathons, whenever I'm training for, right now I'm training for a triathlon, I increase the intensity each week for 2-3 weeks, and then I take a step back and I kind of let myself recover. And then I go back up to it, increase intensity, take a step back. Same kind of deal.
That's the same method that our government does too, is they take, then they give back to make it seem, but they're already a couple more said, then take. The next thing you know, it's...
Well, you're exactly right. It's a small series of growth. Yeah. Or in some cases, it's a small series of negative things.
And understand too that there's operators out there that are totally content on their position. And they have, this is no joke because I deal with it too where I'm at. Mm-hmm. I have no desire to be in management or promote. I've had many opportunities, but for my certain situation where I'm at with my energy company, I'll be the best guy out there doing the job, zero accountable. I'll be the best one in my position. I have no desire to promote within the company.
Yeah.
And that's totally good. We need people like that. But then if you're pitching to a potential prospect to promote, make sure that they're willing and wanting to do it too.
Yeah.
Because if you try to put them in a position that, especially, management or upper level management, you're going to have more money and more stress. That's more money, more stress. You got a lot of times you can't turn your phone off, when you go to sleep. It has, you have to be available 24 hours a day.
Yeah. It's a lot of stress. And that stress, and that's what we're talking about right now, right? Yeah. So, and it's not always more money, more stress. Some of the most stressful times I've ever been in is like clearing snow in a parking lot when there's just people everywhere.
Dude, I used to have to work in grocery stores when we did maintenance for the 26 grocery stores in the state. A lot of times we do it after hours, but other times it would be, and it seems like no matter where you were working, that's where the customer wanted to come up and reach and get a can of green beans or something. So you have to be aware of everyone around you, man. Just stressful.
Well, and it's also stressful if you're working at night because you're like, fuck, dude, I'm ready to be off already.
Yeah.
I don't want to be here.
That's when I got electrocuted like a mofo that one time. The worst electrocution that ever happened. Stressful.
Yeah. Oh, I bet it was stressful. And you get in a hurry, especially like end of the day stress, man. Holy crap, dude. End of the day stress after a 10, 12-hour day, and you're just like ready to pack up and go home. You're getting equipment off the road. Dude, that's when all the mistakes happen.
You damn right.
That's when all the mistakes happen.
You got one foot out the door.
Yeah, exactly.
Or you got the old short timers, you're getting ready to go on vacation.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. So that's whenever a lot of that happens. But harder situations, ease into it. It's like, we've all heard the story about the boiling frog, right? Everybody, the analogy?
Nope.
You never heard the boiling frog analogy?
No, don't assume that we all have heard the story of the
Well, I'm
boiling
about
frog.
to tell it, but I'm just saying, do you know the boiling frog analogy? So if you go to cook a frog, a live frog, if you boil the water and you drop it in there,
He's alive?
yeah,
Okay.
it's going to jump out.
Do you know another deal too?
But if you put the frog in the water, it's going to stay in the water, and then you turn the heat up and it's just slowly heating up. He doesn't notice it. And then by the time he realizes, oh shit, this is really hot, it's too late. So he's in it. He's able to adjust to the pressure. He's able to adjust to the heat. Now, you're not going to die like that frog, but like if you take a guy who's just really good at running the backhoe and you say, now you're going to be a foreman,
Yeah. You got to ease.
you throw him into that position. Yeah. Now he goes, fuck, this sucks. And no, I'm done.
Yeah.
And I've seen people quit because of that, because they get put in a position that they're not really meant for or they're not ready for. And then they can't handle the pressure and the stress. And then it's just, you know what, man, this job ain't for me anymore.
Do you know also, like with bullfrogs, if you cut their legs off, or with turtles, when you cut their legs off of their head, that once they're removed from their body, you can go up and physically touch them and their legs will jump, or the snapper's head will bite, or the claws will even do, this will start clawing even after they're cut off.
Interesting.
I ain't shitting you, dude.
Okay. Yeah.
So you're saying not pour the coals on them. Ease them in.
Slowly turn the heat up.
Sometimes you got to be thrown into the fire every now and then.
Well,
and that ain't bad.
But you got to be prepared to be thrown in the fire.
Yeah. Well, you got to be
like, if you're making a career leap, there's no real easing into, okay, I've been working on the side, or I'm ready to go start my own company. I'm still working here. At some point, you finally just say, okay, I'm going to quit being an employee and just be a full-time business owner. There's usually never a good cutoff point either.
right.
So you just got to take the jump and leap and go for it. But also before that, you're not going to go like today. I wouldn't just go off and say, all right, I quit my job today and I'm starting my own backhoe service tomorrow. No, dude, I would ease into it. I'd probably already have the backhoe bought. I'd probably already have a business license.
Yeah,
I'd already have a few little side jobs that I've been doing. Just
gotta have your ducks in a row. In a row.
Like you got to ease into that pressure. You can't just go off and be like, boom, we're after it. No. You ease into it, and then you get to a point where you're like, okay, now I'm ready to take that big leap. But you've prepared yourself mentally. And you prepared yourself physically because you've got the tools, you got the equipment, you've got a plan, you've got a few jobs lined up. Now let's roll. You're still easing into it.
Yeah. Well, and also sometimes if you do get that upper management position, you're not expected to know everything, and that's when you lean on the people around you to help make decisions.
And I think that's where a lot of people get pressured too. And I had this whenever I was, a few years ago. I've grown a lot since I was 19 to 21 years old, man. I look at the guy that I was when I was 21. I'm like, dude, I thought I was good back then, but I look now and I'm like, I kick that dude's ass any day. I could destroy that kid, which is what you want. You want to grow and learn. But back then it was like, I was afraid, especially getting out of college and getting thrown into a pretty big management role, which I was eased in. I was taught. I was taught very well how to handle that. But like whenever I got out of college, a lot of the impression from people and even in my own head was, well, you're some college educated kid. You ought to know how to do all this stuff. And so like that's where the pressure comes from is, oh shit, I need to know how to do this. But I learned pretty quick that no, the mentality I need to have is, hey, I don't know everything. You've been doing this a long time. You're an operator. You're out in the field. You know this business a lot better than I do. Yeah, I can put numbers to paper. I can do this and that. I can order materials. I can make sure that we're set up to do the job. But also, I need your input to know how to do the job because you've got 30 years experience and that beats the shit out of 4 years of shitty education.
Yeah.
So that is where pressure comes from too, is like you don't know how to do it, but you think you should. So you either take that role and you run with it and you make it up as you go and you figure it out as you go, or you just have honest conversations of, hey, yeah, I need to know how to do this. I don't know what this is. I don't know what that is. And you be humble. And I think that there's a place for both. especially if you're a business owner and some guy says, hey, can you do this job? And you say, yeah, I can do that job. And then you're like, fuck, I've never done that job in my life.
I do that a lot.
Yeah. Well, don't we all? So put yourself in those hard situations. Start small, slowly increase, just as you would if you were exercising. Back up a little bit. Go a little bit farther. Push those boundaries whenever you feel, bend, don't break is what I'm getting out of this. Push it right as you're about to hit that breaking point. Slow down, stop. Because if you push too far and you give yourself too much pressure too fast, you break. And it's just like physically. When I was training for my marathon, dude, I was supposed to be doing a plan of run 3 weeks, increase the intensity every week. Well, I did it 4 weeks in a row, 1 week. And then that fourth week's supposed to be your recovery week. I didn't do a recovery week. And dude, I jacked my knee up for a month and it put me back further because I didn't want to take that recovery week. I wanted to just go hard. Same thing mentally. If you put too much on your plate too quick and you can't handle it, you're gonna falter. So
if you're in stressful situations too, especially being a green person and you're getting in those stressful situations, that's when you need to lean on the seniors, the people who have been there a while, the ones who are calm, cool, collected.
Yeah.
And if they know how to, the power of de-escalation, you see it a lot of times with police officers. When they come to a situation for a domestic, how did it? And people are just, both of them are just high. If you can de-escalate them, get the facts, find out what happens. The same in the workplace. If the senior, hopefully he's smart enough, and you'll see a lot of times, the older we get, which I still struggle with it, the older we get, the more quiet somebody is. They'll get all the facts, then they'll give a decision. Instead of just a fly off the handle, the Tourette's were, and that's the same with the senior level guys at work, man.
Yeah.
Lean on those people, and a lot of times they'll be the ones that de-escalate you. Hey, so what happened? Okay, no, dude, it's all good. Here's what we need to do. They have that soothing voice, calm down, get the facts, and address the situation.
Yeah. And you have to keep calm, man. It's easy to become a redhead, or, we're talking about redhead, bluehead, but I think there's also a guy that I don't even know what I'd call it, but the guy that just shuts down. Yeah,
and the blueheads too have their issues too, man.
Yeah.
Sometimes you need to make a decision. Well, I need to, dude, we're losing time here. I know we need to, but it's either a yes or a no.
So one time I was the superintendent on this project, and it wasn't a massive project, but it was a pretty high stress project because we were working for somebody else. We had a very limited time window. It was inside the OG&E power plant. And we'd been given very little direction.
Coal-powered plant, by the way.
Coal power plant. Very little direction on it was basically I gave them a price and we kind of worked it out. These guys were going to have some areas ready, but then there was one area that they said originally, we're not sure if we're going to do this or not. And then there was just a lot of bouncing around and showing our people this and getting with their people on that. And there was a lot of moving parts in this job. And I was 22 and I'm trying to figure all this stuff out, and I'm getting no help from anybody else as far as this goes. And I'm with the other company that we're working for trying to do stuff. Well, I call their project manager and I'm like, hey, I have some confusion in this area. I have a few little questions. This motherfucker, instead of just saying, oh yeah, let me check on that for you, he goes, are you confused on what you're doing? And he just basically started questioning everything. He's like, do you even know what you're doing? Are you even doing the right job? Are you even that's whenever, especially as a young kid, you're like, fuck, what do I do right now? You're just so I remember that was so stressful for me. Now I'd be able to handle that. Just be like, hey, no, man, that's not it's just a certain area. And that's pretty much what I did. But it took me a minute of just being real flustered and you almost want to cry in those moments whenever people are just blowing up on you because you're trying to get some questions cleared up and you're already stressed because you're not 100% sure, where does this go or what are we doing here? And then somebody blows up and makes you sound like an idiot and you're questioning yourself. You're like, fuck.
Dude, that happened one of the first days on the job where I'm at now. I was on my own and we'd started up this pipeline being fed by the refinery, and within 5 minutes, the head guy in the refinery starts blowing up because there was a high pressure on a pipeline that we were pumping, and he started accusing pretty much me. What in the hell you doing over there? And dude, I was beside me because I was already on edge because this is the first time on my own with pretty much no help.
Yeah.
I was shitting the meat axe. I was going through everything. Dude, I was like, dude, I did this. I did it right. I did it, man. I know. So I leaned on my, lead operator. He came in. Everything looked good. Well, the guy that was blowing up on me from the refinery that just so happens within an hour or so after the fact, come to find out, he was like, oh, hey, we're sorry about that. That was actually on our end, man. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. And, you talking about them stressful situations like that, especially being green, man.
Yeah. And so that's where kind of my final point here is when you are in those situations, it's so easy to match the energy and the emotion of somebody else, but that's where you have to stop.
De-escalate,
right? Don't fire back. Don't lash out. Detach yourself from the situation and look at it like I used the armchair quarterback analogy. Everybody in an armchair quarterback knows exactly what to do. So you sit up here, imaginarily, is that a word?
It is now.
In your imagination, you basically detach, and you have to do this on the fly. Like this isn't like a 20-minute freaking, you go in your truck and you meditate and and no, you stop, you de-escalate real quick, you detach from the situation, you basically look at it from a bird's eye view, and you say, okay, this is going on over here, this is going on over here, here's the problem, this guy's working on this guy's working on that, there's people here, okay. You just try to visualize it in a bird's eye view, and then you say, okay, now I see the problem. And you try to look at it from every perspective. You look at it from the perspective of the guy yelling at you. Why is he mad? Why is he yelling at you? What is the issue? What is the conflict? What's the perspective? Is it a citizen that's mad because your traffic control made them 20 minutes late for work and now you just got to calm them down? Did an accident happen on site? Is somebody mad because you're behind schedule? Is somebody mad? What is the conflict? Why is it an issue from this guy's perspective or this person's perspective? How do we move forward? How do we fix the conflict? Or maybe nobody's necessarily mad, but you run into a hang up on the job site and it's, oh shit, we got to stop work. And we don't have anywhere for these 20 people to go for the next 3 days while the engineer figures this out. That's when you just bird's eye view it. What else can be done? What do we do? Inspect all the angles of the whole puzzle. And then that's whenever you make a decision that works best for everybody.
And don't forget to use your power of stop work authority. If you ever see anything unsafe, no matter if it's at work or at home, you see it unsafe, let's shut things down, step back, figure it out.
Well, according to you, a couple episodes ago, we don't bring safety home.
Yeah. I was being
facetious.
I was trying to jack that up too. Yeah, man, and that, like, the bird's eye view, take emotion out of it. I know I mentioned before, yes. But when you take the escalated both sides, when you take emotion out of it and try to get the facts in a short amount of time, then you make decisions.
Yeah. And if you can tell a guy's under a lot of pressure, because, dude, running equipment can be freaking stressful, man. It can be so stressful getting everything just right, especially if someone's raining down on you and like, hey, I need you to hurry up, pushing you, but you want to do a good job. And, dude, especially if you're working for a unreasonable boss, somebody who wants you to be 2 weeks early on the deadline, wants it to be Nat's ass perfect, but also is just pushing you to, but isn't realistic necessarily with his expectations. That's when it's like really hard. Just somebody you can't ever please, basically. That's a lot of pressure. But again, you just have to learn how he works, and you just have to do the best job to where even if he's never going to tell you thank you, you just do it to where he can show up and say, all right, great, let's move on. That's his form of thank you. So detach yourself. Say, what's the best plan of attack for this? Because if you get caught up in the moment, you get caught up in the crossfire, you're not going to make a good decision. Because if I make a decision based on what I see directly in front of me that's going to impact the whole job because I'm flustered in this moment because this guy's pissed off at me or because I'm pushing this deadline, I make a wrong decision, I could stop this whole freaking train because I made a bad decision. But if you detach and look at it from a bird's eye view and not just the perspective of your hand in front of your face, you're going to make a lot better decisions. And that's what a blue head is. Somebody who can stay calm. The situation's coming at them from all directions. And then instead of blowing up and lashing out on a person, you just go, okay, this is going on here. This is going on there. Here's my decision. Let's rock.
Yeah. And hopefully you can make that decision in a timely manner. You can't wait an hour or two, or you got to make a decision at some time. You can't get all the facts and the temperature and
yeah. Which that's a field situation. Now, if it's a different kind of situation, like it's something that impacts your business, you still got to act quickly, but you might, a timely decision in that case might be 3 days versus a week, or, I mean, it just depends on each individual circumstance.
You know who's calm, cool, collected?
This guy right here.
Nah.
Nah.
No, your father is, man. Whenever I talk to your dad,
oh yeah,
and I talk to him about certain situations, he's had years and years and years of experience to just be level-headed, calm, good poker face.
Yeah.
He's good.
Yeah, my dad's real good under pressure.
Not me.
And also another thing too, though.
Yeah, check this out. See how steady my hand is? That's look at that, steady as a rock for pressure, right? But my other hand's shaking
Casey
like
said,
a leaf.
I'm soft as a sock and steady as a rock.
Yeah, the other hand's shaking like no other.
Yeah, so, and I think that another good point for that, just to, we talk about mental health a lot. If you are in those stressful, pressureful situations, pressure cooker of situations, handle that. Like, make your decision, execute, move past it. But dude, if it's so much stress, like especially if it's family stuff or it's ongoing things that you just kind of learn to deal with, man, don't bottle that stuff up, because eventually it's going to come out. If you bottle up all that pressure, you're going to explode.
Like I said, it's like a pressure relief valve, man. Mm-hmm. Instead of the vessels or the piping blowing up, because that pressure relief valve allows it to pop off, relieve the pressure. Get them bricks out of your backpack.
Yeah. And there's times that you handle a situation and it's done, it's over with, it's a one-time thing, it's behind you, and you go, okay, we're good. It's over. I'm good. And then there's certain things that, like I said, they're ongoing. Cash flow issues, or...
That's the biggest stressor, man.
That's a big stressor, man. Money, cash flow. That's a big one in the business world and the construction world, because everybody looks at construction companies and they see, oh, this guy's got a $5 million job. He's rolling in the dough. But it's like, yeah, it's a $5 million job. We had to buy all our materials up front. We haven't gotten paid a mobilization yet. And like, we have other bills coming in.
Well, and that's the biggest stressor too, at home. And if you're bringing your money stresses to work, also, and you're trying to operate, man, it's something else.
Yeah. So, handle it. Like, get help especially if it's relationship issues, or if it's, just other kinds of stressors, like somebody died or somebody's sick, like things that are pressure, a lot of stress, and they're hard to deal with. Man, get help, get it out of your mind, learn to deal with it, because if you can't deal with certain things going on in one part of your life, it's going to start affecting you in all parts of your life. So that's a big one. And control what you can control, man. Controlling your controllables is one of the best things. Like, a lot of people handle pressure in a bad way, and it's just like what I'm talking about with the mental health. They go and they drink, they get high, they hide behind things that are not healthy, and they hide behind things that just make it worse. Like, if you're under a lot of pressure and you turn to drinking, that's going to spill into everything you do. Like, if you're just drinking every freaking night to handle the stress and the pressure of the world, to alleviate that stress, I promise you that's only making your life more stressful.
Can you drink to feel good, though?
Like,
have a drink or two?
I mean...
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, you can.
I'm
not telling people out there to not have a drink.
Oh, yeah. No. I'm sorry. I
might go have a drink right now after this deal. Before lunch.
Before lunch?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, just as long as it's not becoming a problem. Like, I don't recommend drinking every day in any circumstance, even 1 or 2 drinks. There's a lot of science behind it. But I'm not saying you can't drink, every few days or every couple days, or and I'm not saying you can't drink every day. I'm not saying you can or can't do anything. I'm not your freaking keeper. But I'm just saying, if you are drinking, especially, like, I've seen this happen with somebody close to me, they got to the point they couldn't handle the stresses. They weren't taking a break. They were working long hours in their business, self-employed. Dude, they were drinking heavily every day. And it became such a problem. It was closet drinking. It was hiding stuff. It was a bad deal. And it almost cost them everything because they would come home from the stresses of their business and they would just start drinking. Well, then their relationship started falling apart because they weren't present for their significant other. They weren't present for their kids. And it was a bad deal. And it almost cost everything because they couldn't stop drinking. Because they made that decision one day that, man, I'm going to go home and I'm going to have a drink and it's going to alleviate it. And then it turned into 2 drinks and then 3 drinks. You got to have discipline though. You know, if it's 1 or 2, all right, whatever. But if you can't have the discipline to stop after that, especially every day, that pressure is just going to compound on you.
Yeah, that's whenever I settled down on my drinking, was whenever I realized that the relationship with my wife and kids was numero uno.
Yeah.
Then I settled down.
Well, it detaches you in a bad way. You're not present for them whenever you are doing that. So the pressure just gets worse and then it makes you lazy. So if you go home and you crack a beer as soon as you walk in the door and then your wife's like, hey, I need help doing stuff. And you're like, oh, fuck, I'm just tired. I've been doing it. And then you sit down, you drink and you watch TV. Your wife's going to get sick of that shit fast. Then it's going to be like, I need you, they start, my bitch nagging wife. But no, dude, you deserve that.
Well, if you don't have any pressure in your life, 0, if you're fortunate to not have any pressure, go ahead and start drinking. Start drinking a bunch. That pressure will soon come on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, it'll cost you everything, man.
Yeah.
I mean, you see guys, especially in this industry, that drink a lot and it costs them their job.
It can be anything. You can say
late.
Eat a lot. Start eating a bunch.
Yeah.
That's going to create pressure in your stomach, on your knees, on your feet,
well, that's
on your health.
That's what and that's the whole control your controllables, right? Yeah. Eat right. Take a 15-minute walk without your phone every day. If you don't exercise already, just chill, man. Just control your controllables. Take a step back. Say, what can I control? Because there's things in the pressure that you can't control. Control what you can control. Your food, your water, your alcohol intake.
Control the controllables, yeah.
Control your controllables.
I just got a notification that Dirty and Driven posted a video.
Huh?
During our podcast. Do you have a bot posting videos?
On what, TikTok?
Yeah. Maybe my phone's finally updating. Oh, the old Happy Monday. I just finally got the notification. Give it hell this week.
Oh, you just got the notification
even though
a week later?
Dude, even though I liked it, or I hearted it.
Heart. Yeah. All right, guys. We've been yammering on for a while. I think that's all we're going to do is keep yammering.
Yeah, so much for our 60-minute podcast.
I think we've done that once or twice.
Yeah.
As long as it's under an hour and a half.
We're closing in on that.
If we didn't set a time limit on ourselves, can you imagine how long we'd talk for?
Be a while, but then...
I mean, we were talking for almost an hour and a half before we started this podcast.
Yeah. But if it starts getting that long, man, you talking about pressure, my wife would be, what in the hell? And then that wouldn't be good pressure.
Yeah. All right, guys. If you like the show, be sure to give it a 5-star review. I appreciate all you guys that get value out of the show. There's a lot of shows where I go, man, I hope somebody gets value out of this. I just don't know if they will. And then you guys hit me up and they're like, hey, thank you for that value. And one guy even said the other day, he said, I hope this doesn't go to your head, but here's kind of a tidbit of value I got. And he said I used it in, I think he said a paper he wrote or something in one of his classes. And I was like, oh, well, thanks, man. Like, it doesn't go to my head. It just makes me realize, oh, okay, maybe we're not totally full of shit.
Yeah, unless if he gets an F on it, then he'll blame it on us.
Yeah.
And remember, if your bladder starts to get pressured up, go take a piss.
Yeah.
Relieve that pressure.
Yeah. You don't want a UTI. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for listening. Leave a 5-star review. We might read it out loud. Bye.
Bye, God.